It's the first week of the ceasefire in Gaza. People are returning home to northern Gaza to find absolutely nothing there. But there is prisoner exchanges. 3 Israeli prisoners that were held by Hamas have been released. A 24-year-old Romy Gonin, 28-year-old Emily Damari, 31-year-old Doron Steinbrecher. They arrived, they had like goodie bags with them. If you saw this, they seemed pretty well taken care of. They're like, I mean, again, it is all part of, I think, also a strategy to say the way you treat Palestinian prisoners is not how Hamas treats Israeli prisoners. But anyway, 90 Palestinian hostages have been freed from Israeli prisons also. They arrived in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. 69 women, 21 teenage boys, and some as young as 12. Here are scenes of that. He's saying, I can't believe it. It's not possible, no. She's crying, Mom. I don't believe it, Mom. I was dying. So she's hugging her mom. All right, I can't watch any more of this without crying. It's gonna be it for me. But these scenes, these incredible scenes, and knowing that 33 more Israeli hostages, will be released over the next 6 weeks. Israel agreed to release 1,900 Palestinians who are held in Israeli jails, and hopefully this happens. There have already been, John, I think over 200, since the ceasefire talks were announced, over 200 Palestinians have been killed. Now, in the West Bank, there have been major incursions into cities like Jenin, and it is not looking good. Netanyahu has said that he reserves the right to continue bombing if he so chooses. And again, the ceasefire happens in stages, so who knows if and when the hostages are released, Israeli hostages, will Netanyahu violate the ceasefire and continue leveling Gaza? We have to see. But I want to turn to, John, it's been really fucked up that this ceasefire happened as soon as Trump got into office. Mm-hmm. And it's indicative of his overall attitude to, I think to not to the Palestinian people, because he doesn't care about that, as we're going to watch, but it's indicative of his attitude of no, what I say goes. I don't want this war. I don't want this smoke. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not popular. And no matter what you say about Trump, I do think he can read the room, that this war is actually, this genocide is not popular. And I mean, I want your thoughts on it, but I did want to play this. This is Trump being asked about the ceasefire and whether it will hold. Here he is back in his chair in the Oval Office. I wonder if they swap chairs. I guess you'd have to, considering the amount of diaper leakage that happens. But here we go.
I said you can't be carpet bombed.
Bad.
Confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of this deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident, but I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2-state?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, the best weather, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead. Most of them are dead. But they didn't exactly run it well. Run viciously and badly. So you can't have that.
Okay, so there was the end of that. So he's asked, If you were listening, if you couldn't hear it, he was asked, are you going to help rebuild? Maybe. From first he says, do you think the ceasefire is going to hold? Well, it's not our war, it's their war.
Yep.
And then he says, maybe I'll rebuild, beautiful property, echoing Jared Kushner. And then finally, you can't have the people running it before. He's referencing Hamas. He's too stupid to say Hamas. In fact, most of them are dead. John, your reaction?
Yeah. Inflation, Ukraine, Gaza, these are all things when he's running, Biden should have fixed, and he will fix instantly, faster than you could possibly imagine. And now, no, you can't make any promises about literally any of this. It's not his job. I mean, what is he, the president of the United States? No, it's somebody else. We'll see what happens. And then, so that was sick. But then everything that came after it was so much worse. He is going to be 100% down for them to take Gaza, fit everybody that is alive, I guess, into a square mile or two, and then turn it into luxury housing for Israelis. That's all it's going to be.
Yeah, they can work in the homes that used to be theirs. They can work in the hotels that used to be their homes.
Maybe where they're the thing I would, I guess, maybe disagree with. Maybe I was misreading you in the early part is he hasn't thus far, as far as I've seen, done anything to pressure Israel. Like, he may have said, I want you to wrap it up, but what, is he going to stop selling them weapons? He just lifted the ban on sending them 2,000-pound bombs. Why would they give in when there's been no pressure? Now, they might be willing to briefly do a ceasefire for a couple of reasons. One, they've already destroyed literally everything. I honestly don't even know what you do with a 2,000-pound bomb when there's no buildings left. So they almost don't even need to keep doing this because they've already killed so many people. And then the other thing is, that this way he can claim victory or whatever. People stop looking, and then they invade. They take over the West Bank. They take over Gaza. They start developing it or whatever. And Trump doesn't do literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
Bada bing, bada boom. That's how you make a deal. And, the only thing that you lose is Gaza and the Palestinians.
So I think the biggest difference is ideological. Joe Biden was ideologically committed to Zionism. He's ideologically committed to whatever Israel says goes and is the perfect thing, and they must do what they must do, and all of their lies and all of the propaganda, all of the Hezbollah he wears on his chest. I mean, Blinken literally says he keeps a list of the hostages' names in his front pocket. Biden is committed, and Trump believes in nothing. So this is very in line with what Trump's always said, John, which is, of course, he would allow for 2,000-pound bombs because he wanted to, quote, wrap it up soon. He wanted them to nuke the place. He wants more bloodshed, but he wants it to be over because he I think, politically doesn't want that smoke. He doesn't want the heat. But it's not over like peace. It's over like kill everyone. It's his same approach. For anyone who thinks he's anti-war, he's not. It's the same approach for Iraq. Well, why didn't we just get all of the oil and leave? Why don't you drop a nuke and leave? That is the MAGA isolationism, is actually just more murderous.
Well,
it's hard to argue how they could have sped it up. How could Israel have been quicker in killing almost 50,000 people?
Napalm? I don't know. And the thing is, the situation will continue to be whatever it's going to be once Israel inevitably violates a ceasefire, but it will be over if Fox tells its audience that it's over. I mean, and most of the way that they were pitching this as a war was taking Palestinian dead and then weighting it against some rockets being fired that don't do any damage. They can choose to start ignoring that whenever they want, and then boom, conflict's over. Trump says it's their war. The MAGA people will accept that. It's no longer our responsibility. It was for Biden. It won't be for Trump. They can flip that switch super easily.
I did just want to play this one thing. It's before we leave this topic. I gotta say, watching the scenes of joy and relief from the and seeing the Israeli hostages come back and seeing that they seemed pretty well, it filled me with a lot of relief and hope, and also pure unadulterated rage, because it makes me feel like Joe Biden, and this was a plan, this was a ceasefire deal that was on the table in May, that Biden could have made this happen earlier had he played a little bit harder and stopped rolling over for Israel. If he weren't getting played, if he actually played the game instead of being played himself. And there's a perfect moment that illustrates how much he was being played. He was interviewed, one of his last interviews, by Lawrence O'Donnell in the Oval Office. And here he is you know, talking about how in the early days, like in November of 2023, that he was asking Bibi Netanyahu not to like indiscriminately bomb civilian areas, and that Bibi came back with a quite a magnificent retort.
I said, you can't be carpet bombing these communities. And he said to me, well, you did it. You carpet bomb, not his exact words, but you carpet bomb Berlin. You dropped a nuclear weapon. You killed thousands of innocent people because you had to in order to win a war. I said, but that's why we came up with the UN. New deals by which what we would do relative to civilians and military.
So he was comparing 21st century war tactics, battle tactics, with World War II.
Well, what he was really doing is he was going after me for saying you can't indiscriminately bomb civilian areas, even if the bad guys are there. Even if the bad guys there, you can't take out 2, 10, 12, 1,500 people, innocent people, in order to get the one bad guy. And he made the legitimate argument. His perspective said, look, these are the guys that kill my people. These are the guys that are all over in these tunnels. Nobody had any idea the miles of tunnels are down there. It's amazing what they built.
Okay, ramble about tunnels. So do you hear what he said? He says, but he made the legitimate argument that you killed people in World War II, innocent people. I mean, let's leave aside the idea that we are, that somehow dropping the A-bomb was like, and you know, whatever, was justified or ended the war, whatever. The Bibi's propaganda, hook, line, and sinker, is insane. I mean, that is not a commander-in-chief. That's not a leader. That is someone who is in the palm of Israel's hand. And it's so pathetic. It's so pathetic that he even buy into the, oh yeah, we are. I mean, this really is like the Third Reich, you know, marching across Poland. That's definitely what Hamas is doing. You know, the tunnels, they built amazing tunnels back then too. Like, John, I cannot get over, and there's obviously new polling out this week that showed that Gaza played far more of a role in voters' minds when they went to the ballot box and when they, you know, thought about whether to endorse Kamala Harris or wanted to, you know, vote for Kamala Harris than originally, you know, thought. So it's like, I can't believe that we are back to another Trump administration because this fool bought every single lie that Bibi Netanyahu sold to him until he could get his other fashy buddy back into the White House.
Yeah. The entire thing is a mess from start to finish. It was, you know, bad. It was bad every day. We covered, you know, so much of it, and I do think that it's going to be even worse. I think that they are going to, as long as they keep things a little bit quiet, I think that they're going to be allowed to do pretty much whatever they want. I think truly horrific crimes against humanity are going to play out. I mean, it's just the fact that since the ceasefire was initially revealed, over 200 people died. Like, one would hope that 200 people being airstriked to death, if that was the sum total of this conflict, would be horrifying.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.